Everyone knows that programming is very difficult, and there are many mistakes that are made even by professional programmers. In this video, I would like to talk about one tool that can make, if used correctly of course, coding simpler. It's the variables. First, what is a variable? It can have different definitions based on the programming language because each has its own philosophy. But usually a variable is something in the memory that can store a value. The value can be of different types. It can be a numerical value, a text, or a string. It can also be something more complex, like a set of values. So what exactly is the purpose of a variable? If we introduce too many variables in the code, it can make the code more difficult to understand because there are many more names to remember, and each variable has to be tracked because the value can change. One purpose is to make abstractions. For example, if we have a variable that represents the number of legs a robot has, we should not have to worry what happens if the robot accidentally loses one leg. The variable should be decreased and that's all. Another purpose is to avoid calculating the same thing several times. Some calculations can take a lot of time, and if we don't save the value, we might have to make the calculation again. If we store the value in a variable, then we could have avoided making a lot of unnecessary calculations. Also, variables are useful to abstract operations. This allows to have functions in our code which have parameters. Parameters are special variables that can have different values depending on with which arguments the function is called. One interesting thing about variables is that even functions can be variables. For example, if a company does not know how to evaluate the employees and always changes its mind, it's possible to have a function variable that changes values as needed. So in the end, the mastery of variables can make writing codes more enjoyable and more simple, which means that the existence of variables can increase the average level of happiness in the world.